In this video, we will talk about nutrients in MS, and in particular about salt in milk. And we will start with the salt. Salt is a mineral which is mainly composed of sodium chloride. Salt is a very important nutrient since it is essential for the proper functioning of our body. However, excessive use of this nutrient can induce multiple problems such as hypertension, gastric cancer, kidney failure, and osteoporosis. In addition, salt is also considered to have detrimental effects on MS, since it promotes pro-inflammatory immune responses. We can consume salt as common salt to flavor foods. This is the salt that we are most aware of, and therefore it is actually the least dangerous. Salt is also present in some foods in high amounts, such as in sausages, potato chips, pizza, and generally processed food. This salt is more dangerous since we are not always aware of its presence. Regarding the scientific evidence, several observational studies have been published in which salt intake has been estimated through questionnaires or by urine analysis, and in most of these studies, it has not been possible to demonstrate an association between salt intake and an increase in the incidence of MS or a worsening of the course of the disease. A clinical trial has also been carried out with 25 people affected by MS, a part of which received a diet rich in salt and another a low-salt diet for 5 weeks. As far as we know, the results of this study have not yet been published. Here you have the number of the clinical trial that may allow you to consult possible updates in the future. And now we will talk about cow milk. Whole milk is mainly composed of carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins, and it also contains calcium and some vitamins such as A and D. The most important carbohydrate in milk is lactose, which is made up of glucose and galactose. Lactose can have a detrimental health effect in some people. When lactose reaches the small intestine, the enzyme that allows its digestion to glucose and galactose is lactase. Once digested, the monosaccharides, that is, glucose and galactose, can be absorbed and pass into the blood. Lactase production decreases with age, so elderly people may have trouble digesting milk. There may also be problems in the production of lactase for other reasons, for example due to genetic alterations or as a secondary consequence of other pathologies. People with lactose production problems have what is known as lactose intolerance. Lactose intolerance has nothing to do with MS. The probability that a person affected by MS has lactose intolerance is the same as in the rest of the population. The main lipids contained in whole milk are saturated long-chain fatty acids. Saturated long-chain fatty acids have pro-inflammatory effects, so they are not recommended for people with MS. Whole milk also contains different types of proteins, such as casein, that represent 80% of all proteins, butyrophilin or beta-lactoglobulin. Casein and butyrophilin are thought to be harmful in MS because they could activate the immune system through molecular mimicry. T lymphocytes and pathogenic antibodies could be activated in the small intestine by recognizing these milk proteins and subsequently be reactivated in the central nervous system and induce inflammation and later demyelination. Beta-lactoglobulin appears to be harmful by inducing allergy in some people. Like lactose, beta-lactoglobulin may induce a problem that is not related to MS. People affected by MS may or may not develop an allergy to this protein, just like the general population. Milk saturated fatty acids and milk proteins are found in whole milk and in foods made with this milk, such as butter, ice cream, cheese, or yogurt. Regarding the scientific evidence, there are 3 preclinical studies, 2 in mice and 1 in humans, in which molecular mimicry has been demonstrated, that is, the presence of antibodies or pathogenic T cells that recognize both milk proteins and proteins of the central nervous system. Several observational studies have also been published that have shown a correlation between the consumption of whole milk and the risk of MS, although a recent study could not confirm this correlation. In some of the studies that have shown a correlation, milk consumption was quite high, 3 or more cups a day. Although it is true that the scientific evidence does not fully demonstrate a detrimental effect of salt and whole cow's milk on MS, our recommendation is to control its consumption. In the case of salt, consume less than 5 grams, that is, less than a teaspoon a day. And in the case of whole cow's milk, eliminate it from the diet and consume only skimmed or low-fat milk, and in moderate amounts, 1 or maximum 2 cups a day. Also avoid foods derived from whole cow's milk and, when possible, consume them skimmed. From our point of view, there is no scientific basis to recommend lactose-free milk to people with MS.